What's up, guys? It's our first review. Welcome to Lux Talks Music. Today, we're going to be reviewing one of my favorite rappers' third studio LPs, Urban Legend by T.I. Released on November 28th, 2004, this album helped T.I. shoot right up the charts at number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 and helped him earn the nickname the Jay-Z of the South by Pharrell Williams. The first track is The King. His hook is really catchy, the flows are on point throughout, the rhyme scheme is excellent. The early 2000s Southern Trap beat is really punchy. Great song, banger intro. Motivation. The rhyme scheme is really impressive here as well. The beat with the flute and the trap drums really impresses me, and T.I. flows on the beat really well. I mean, it's peak Southern style rap. The hook is catchy as hell too. You don't know me. The flow is alright, but the cadence and the rhyme scheme are only okay. He rhymes me with me a lot, and the beat is impressive with the synth and electronic drums, but the song doesn't really say a whole lot. It's pretty much just flexing, but yeah, the rapping on the song is kind of eh. Definitely a drop off from the first two songs on the LP. ASAP has an amazing hook that definitely makes it stand out from the other songs as one of the biggest hits on the album. The beat is crazy southern with hints of blues guitar and trap drums. T.I.'s flow is crazy impressive throughout the whole song. Next song is Praying for Help. Begins with T.I. saying the Lord's Prayer as the beat begins. This more R&B type instrumental is a definite change of pace from the rest of the album's themes of flexing, and he talks about his relationship with God, how his stint in prison, he wants to change, how he wants to challenge the public perception of himself, and how his motivation is higher than everybody else's. He knows he can make it, but he's asking God for help when he's stressed. His flow throughout the song and his rhyme scheme impress me constantly, and he's rapping well throughout the entire song. The hook is sincere, cool guitar solo at the end. Why You Mad at Me? Calm instrumental, and T.I.'s flow is much more relaxed, but he still talks about his relationship with the streets. His flow is a little choppy at the beginning, but he definitely gets it back. His hook runs a little long, but it's definitely catchy. He tries to change up his flow throughout the song, but it comes off as a little choppy and yucky. And sometimes he's behind on the beat. The song's a little bit boring, and he just kind of addresses all his haters for the billionth time. Get Loose. Definitely an attempt at a club dance track, with the hook talking about getting loose and all that. T.I.'s flow is alright, and he talks about sexual stuff you do in the club. This is a club track, but it doesn't really hit that hard. And I can see why it's not really danced to this day. Nelly comes in as the first feature of the album and definitely outshines T.I. on his own track. Even though his feature was really short, Nelly had a great flow and some clever lines. But yeah, this track was mid. What they do. The beat is crazy catchy with the saxophone, but T.I. kind of lags behind the sax at the beginning. His flow is generally impressive, but his lyrics and lines aren't that interesting. The hook is kind of catchy, but falls a little flat. The song is completely ruined at any hope because of the feature BG. He's just not that good. His flow is even worse than T.I.'s, and he sounds like Birdman if he was stroking. He just kind of talks about selling drugs, and his verse leaves me super unimpressed. The lyrics are kind of repetitive, like, we get it, you're the best in Atlanta. Overall, forgettable track. The greatest. The skit at the beginning is really corny and almost turned me completely off from the song, but the beat starts off and is really catchy with the trap drums. The flow brings me back to the album, and T.I. is perfect on this Manny Fresh beat. The piano keys, synths, bass guitar, and trap drums are really good. And T.I.'s hook with Manny Fresh is really catchy. T.I. talks again about how cool he is, but it goes along really well with this kind of beat. Get your shit together. I immediately recognize this beat. I realized that it's used again in one of my favorite Clip songs made a few years later, Roll with the Winners, with its signature horns and synth. T.I. flows really well on the song, but is a little bit weaker than some of the highlights on this album. He lags behind a little bit as well, and his flow is kind of quiet and kind of does his beat dirty. Lil Kim completely ruins the hook, and her voice is really annoying in my opinion. T.I. could definitely be a little bit more energetic, and his bars hit really well in his song though. But his delivery sounds like he's super bored. I think Pusha T and Malice did this beat way better, but that's just me. Freak though. A more R&B romantic type track featuring Pharrell. T.I. plays his part appreciating the woman in the song, and his flow is okay, but Pharrell kills the hook with his falsetto. The famous production duo The Neptunes featuring Pharrell and Jed Hugo really carries the track with their calm drums and flute. Countdown. T.I immediately changes the vibe back to a southern trap banger. His flow is cool, but it's not really one of his most impressive performances. The beat is great, but T.I is just kind of okay on here. His hook is pretty corny and makes me roll my eyes a little bit. Honestly, it's pretty mid track and kind of a filler song. Bring 'em Out, one of the greatest hip hop beats and songs of all time. This album would be so much less impactful if it weren't for this song here. The beat from Swiss Beats is literally perfect. T.I.'s hook interpolated with Jay-Z's vocals are super iconic, and T.I.'s flow is ridiculously good, and his lines hit super hard the whole song. He's flexing, but it's a crazy amount of energy and pulls you in. He's super lively, and it's literally impossible not to bob your head to this song. This is one of T.I.'s most successful songs all time, and for good reason. This song bangs. I remember the minute after I had my first kiss, I hopped in the car and played this song full blast. Limelight. The beat is really groovy. Initially, I was hazy on a Group Grand Hustle collab like this, but Mac Boney has a really amazing southern flow, and his hook is super catchy. His singing at the end of the hook is horrible, but it's pretty easy to look past because of his amazing verse. Big Country King is really good too. His southern flow fits perfectly with the bass guitar and synth in the song and is really southern and groovy. AK is really catchy too, though a little bit less strong than Mac Boney and Big Country. C Rod just does the same thing as the others, but he's a little bit more boring and his flow isn't as impressive. T.I.'s verse is short and is okay. He really tries to blend in with the beat, but his lyrics are only okay, and his verse is too brief to be super impactful. Again, the hook would be amazing if it wasn't for Mac Boney's horrible singing. Chillin' with My Girl is another R&B type track, including some acoustic guitar production and T.I maintaining a nice and calm flow. Jazzy Faw's hook is really bad though, and he can't sing at all. But out of the slower, more romantic tracks, T.I flows better than some of the earlier songs. My mind kind of drifts off toward the end of the song, and this song kind of already's done what previous songs have done. I could have done without this song. Stand Up. Definitely one of T.I.'s more aggressive songs. Considering the punch of the hook, Atlanta's Lil Jon is a great addition to the hook. After the hook, T.I.'s surprisingly kind of back down. Okay, cut this. Stand Up. Definitely one of T.I.'s more aggressive songs, considering the punch of the hook and Atlanta's Lil Jon being a great aggressive addition to the hook. After, T.I. surprisingly backs down from the aggressive nature, and his flow gets more relaxed and kind of unimpressive. Trick Daddy has an okay verse, but his flow is kind of weird and doesn't really match the beat. He just kind of talks. Lil Wayne isn't the best either. His punchlines and bars are really great, but his overall verse kind of makes me shrug. Not too memorable of a song. The outro, My Life. The beat is pretty calm and pretty good, but T.I.'s hook is really wacky. His flow during the verses is great, and it's actually pretty good lyrically. The hi-hats, drums, and bass guitar give it a chill vibe. I really can't get past the awful hook though. Daz Dillinger kills it as the feature on the song. His flow goes along very nicely with the synth and completely outshines T.I on his outro. I love his flows and bars. They definitely hit harder than T.I. Daz does it again with another verse, and he actually sounds a lot like Tupac here. T.I.'s third verse after Daz's verse is great, but it's too short and gets interrupted by that awful hook. Overall, this album is an example of pretty good southern hip hop, and T.I really picks some great beats, but he's pretty inconsistent throughout the album. Personally, I think the album could have been way shorter than 17 songs, as there are a couple songs that really just don't match the vibe. He tries to go into his R&B bag, but sometimes it just insists upon itself and doesn't really work for me. A couple of those slower tracks could have been cut, and I think keeping it to like 11 or 12 songs would have been much better, as I don't really think this album needed the hour and 11-minute runtime. This album did have some really high highs though. For example, Bring 'em Out, ASAP, Motivation, and The Greatest. But a lot of other songs and features don't really bring a lot to the table, except for Pharrell Williams, Manny Fresh, who just produced the beat and was on the hook, Daz Dillinger, and everybody on Limelight. Other than that, the features were just kind of unnecessary. Overall, you can't always expect a 10 out of 10, but there were just moments when the features and T.I.'s flows didn't bring me in. At certain points, the hooks were occasionally good, but a lot of them were pretty garbage, and T.I. didn't make them interesting enough. But there's no doubt that the songs that were the bangers really helped out the album. Lyrically, it's not what it's sort of what I expect, but there's no doubt that the songs that were bangers really helped out the album. It's sort of what I expected from a Southern trap album. A lot of flexing, a lot of talking about the neighborhood, talking about how T.I. is not afraid of anybody else, and that he's one of the best out of Atlanta. He kind of talks about that throughout the album, with the exception of some songs where he talks about romantic encounters. And the only song where he really gets lyrical and deep in his bag is Praying for Help. But commercially, this album did a ton for T.I. and the whole Atlanta rap scene. After he got out of prison and his debut album came out to mixed reviews, and Trap Music was a great number 2 album, Urban Legend really brought him into the limelight. Songs like Bring 'Em Out and ASAP really propelled him into stardom. So I'm going to give this album a strong 4 to a light 5. But yeah, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.